Okie doke folks, welcome to part 4 of our holiday up to Cape York and the Torres Strait. And here we are, this is the one I've been waiting for, guys. Our flight from Punsan Bay out to Naghir Island, or Mt Ernest Island in the English language, with our bloody legendary chopper pilot Steve from Punsan Bay Helicopters, or Bungee Helicopters. And what a fantastic morning it was with Steve. He really bloody went above and beyond. Here we are approaching Naghir Island from the southwestern side, and you can see there, have a look at the coral reef that surrounds the island, guys, on the southern side of the island and also the western side of the island, and the drop off there. Imagine fishing, getting a boat there on that drop off. The All for Adventure boys were there a few years ago, Rozs, weren't they? Catching massive trevally in that just off Naghir Island. Naghir is how you spell it, guys, but I guess Nagi, Nagi, but the English name is Mt Ernest, but everyone up in the Torres Strait refers to it as Naghir Island. And you can see the coral reef surrounding the southern and western side of the island. Look at that beautiful little white beach that just is on the western side and the southern side of the island. Absolutely magnificent. And you can see in the distance there Mt Ernest, which rises, Rozs just googled it, Rozs, didn't you? About 200 and something metres.
Yeah, I thought it was higher than that.
Yeah, I thought it was high, but it's Google said 208 metres. I'm just pointing at where the old village used to be, Rozs. Where your mum was. I always thought your mum was born on Naghir, but she wasn't, most of the people went to an island that had a midwife, but soon after your mum and your aunties were born, they came back to the island as little babies, and your mum was raised on that island as a young girl, and
oh yes,
left when she was about 18, went to Thursday Island as a nurse's assistant, I believe, or a nurse's aide. We can see there that rocky outcrop on the northern part of the island. It's called Doggerman, your mum was saying. She drew a map for us when we went over, and it's coming around to the eastern side, northeastern side of the island now, and you can see how rugged it is and not as much beach. There's a few little beaches if you look closely there, but coral reef once again, and the waves crashing up onto the reef. But your mum said they used to go over to the eastern side, Rozs, when she was a kid, and go over there fishing. You can see there a great view of Mt Ernest, which raises, 208 metres above the sea. Quite rugged there. Mum was saying there's caves and that up on Mt Ernest. They used to go up there as kids. Caves up there, and as I said, there was probably walking tracks up to the islands back in the...
I don't think they were allowed to go up there to have a look.
The girls weren't, or the kids weren't allowed to go up? Yeah. Hey guys, if you use your imagination now, it either looking at the rear end of a turtle there, but as you come around here now, doesn't that look like either a crocodile or a Komodo dragon lying there? Lying in the ocean. Use your imagination. Just to certain angles. Isn't it amazing how some of the...
floating on top of the ocean.
Yeah, some of the Torres Strait Islands look like animals from the air. And you see when we fly over the tip of Australia in probably part 5 of the series, Rozs, the bloody tip of Queensland looks like a big crocodile. Look at that reef there and the drop off, guys. Imagine just trolling along there, and I'm putting my fishing hat on now. Steve banking around to the right now. He's going to take us on another lap of Naghir. Going to go anti-clockwise this time. What a beautiful view. You can see those two islands. We'll talk more about them shortly. Up the northern side of Naghir there, Rozs. They're part of the Naghir Island group. I'll get you to pronounce those islands soon.
Yeah, once we come around.
Once we come around and we get a better view of them.
The helicopter flight was a bit hairy, wasn't it? With no doors.
It was fantastic, but like, I'm not a keen flyer.
Any other way.
No, that's the way to. If you want to go and see some of the islands in the Torres Strait, guys, these Robinson R44s, and you got pilots like Steve and that, they really look at that. There you go. Doesn't that look like a big crocodile or a Komodo dragon? And as you get further around to the eastern side, it starts to take the shape of a big sea turtle and that. for Steve's first time out too, Roz, wasn't it? He was
Yeah,
really excited about going out to
Yeah.
Naghir. Look at that for a view, just absolutely amazing. Like surf breaking up on the eastern side of the island there, and Steve taking it out wide now to give us a really good view of the rear end of the island and Mt Ernest. As I said, that's the English name for the island. Most of the islands, Roz, in the Torres Strait all got a traditional name,
yes.
and an English name. Even Horn Island and Thursday Island all got a traditional name,
Yeah.
and that a lot of people, some islands are named traditional like Moa and Bardu, and then they've also got an English name there.
I think you'll see on a lot of maps now that they'll have the traditional name, then the English name.
Yeah,
You would think, you would hope that's the case.
yeah. Your mum was saying that they used to take a little dinghy over to that island there and fish off that island. And Ollie, your sister, Roz, that little piece just off Doggerman there on the northern bit, that other little piece of rock there that's broken away at low tide, they reckon you can actually walk out to that. And Ollie's actually been fishing off that. This is about the time you crank the iPad up and got some beautiful still photos of Naghir from this. Steve took it out wide once again, and you can see the whole island in all its glory, and you can see the reef that surrounds the island and the drop off. My goodness, I'm not into scuba diving, guys, but I think if you threw some tanks on and went down there, it'd be just absolutely amazing. And your mum was saying they used to live off the ocean. There they are, Roz. What are they? There's the two islands.
The first one, Githalai, and the furthest north is Saraji.
Githalai and Saraji Island. And your mum said they used to go out in a dinghy and go fishing around there. There's a copper plantation on probably Githalai on the first one, the closer one to Naghir, and those two islands are actually part of the Naghir Island group, guys. And Naghir's quite a large island when you walk around it, isn't it? You know, it's a big island, but in the scheme of things, it's one of the smaller islands in the Torres Strait. There are 290 or 270 islands in the Torres Strait. Steve's swinging her around now. He's
I'm hanging on there.
I know, we hit a bit of turbulence there at one stage, and Steve asked us before we went over, he said, where do you want to land? And the first time we went over, we landed on the southwestern side, didn't
That's
we?
right.
Near the cemetery, but we're going to come up closer to where the old village used to be, where your mum was raised as a young child. And there was a fully functioning village with a school and a store and lots of houses on the island. Bit of wind there. I've got the camera outside the window. As you can see, no doors on the helicopter, guys. There's a water tank down there. I don't know if that's part of the original village. I know some of your cousins, Roz, have tried to get some structures up and running on the island. See
As you know, no one lives there now.
No, it's uninhabited now, folks, if you're wondering.
And family members try to go out and camp every now and then, so they're trying to get some water tanks up and some shelter.
Yeah, be fantastic if we get some Steve lining up. The tide was going out now, which was fantastic, so we had 2 hours on the island, so Steve didn't have to worry about waves crashing in on his chopper. Bringing it, what a fantastic flight around the island, Roz, isn't it? It was just absolutely amazing to see Naghir from the air, and now we've got 2 hours to get out and walk around, and you'll see that now, guys. You'll see us walk around and talk you through the island. Righto, we've landed on the western side of the island. Steve, our pilot, we'll have a chat with Steve a bit later. What an amazing flight, just incredible. Looking north there. Anyway, we're going for a bit of an explore and we'll show you around the island. And dear oh dear, you get a bit emotional when you hear the stories about the island from Roz's mum and that, and then you actually get to see it from the air. And we're actually on here now, guys. We're on the bit of erosion. It's always a problem up here in the Torres Strait. Some of the islands are getting inundated with water now, but anyway, let's go and have a look around. Ross has spotted it. Looks like a baby croc, guys. Little baby croc slide with his tail and his bloody claws. Oh, the backpack came off. I don't know where he's gone. He's probably up in the bloody, probably attack me in a minute. But definitely a croc, Roz. Only a little fella.
Or goanna.
Or, as Roz said, it could be a goanna. Maybe I'm wrong. That has happened before. Just heading up to the... Oh, well there you go, there's the culprit. Ha! There's a goanna. It wasn't a crocodile.
Well, it looks like a big one.
Little goanna.
They run after you.
Hey buddy, he got the island all to himself, haven't you? Little sand goanna. Yeah, little sand goanna. You can tell them, they got the little yellow speckles on them. I just made that up, guys. I think it's a sand goanna. Mangroves there. Always good seeing mangroves, you know, the ecosystem's healthy. Crystal clear water in the bottom there. Oh, there'd be some nice little fish floating around in there, I reckon. A lot of fishing rubbish and that floated up on the island. Bamboo, floats. You're going to get that up here, I guess, or fishing boats and that. Fishing nets, a massive fishing net around just before. Big esky of some sort, or a fridge that's washed up. You could do a bit of beach combing here. Unfortunately, plastic bottles, stuff like that. We're trying to find Roz's sister said there's a little track that cuts across here, and we saw it from the air. You can cut across to the other side of the island. So anyway, we'll see how we go. I'll see if I can get down there. That's that northern little jut out part. Alright, I'll see if I can get down on that beach and see if there's a track cutting across. Go on Buck, see if you can break your bloody leg on a remote island in the Torres Strait. Might have to slide down here on my ass, guys. Oh, jeez, I'm getting too old for this shit. Get around here. Oh no, I'm going to get wet feet. Hey. Righto, look at that beautiful white sand, mangroves. Set a little camp up in here. Look at the fishing in there, be fantastic. I can't find the track that cuts across. I could see one from the air. Geez, it's different when you're on the ground, but I don't know. We've only got 2 hours. I'm not going to have time to do too much, but anyway, spewing. Just going to have to wait till we come back camping, I think. There's definitely, as you can imagine, no one's lived here since the 70s. A lot of stuff's overgrown now and what have you. Oh, here we go. We've got up here. Looks pretty thick. Alright, I might have found it. Might have found a track of some sort. Maybe not. Nah, need a machete or something, I reckon. Alright, I'm going to call it quits, guys. I haven't got time. But somehow you can get across. You can hear the waves crashing. This is the most skinniest part of the island just here, and you can hear the waves crashing just over there. Yes, I was going to put my drone up, bring my drone over. I could have put the drone up here and had a look from the air, but guess who dropped his bloody mobile phone in the drink on the first night? And now I can't use my drone. I've brought it all this way and can't use the bloody thing. Anyway, so be it. Oh, even up through there maybe. Still pretty thick. I think you'd need a machete to hack a way through. Right, I've got to get up over these rocks again. Have a look at the water. How clear it is. Crystal green. That's what we want. Roz has got a little map that her mum drew, and that bit up there
the northern part, they called Dogaman. And down here somewhere is Jardines Fence. Frank Jardine brought cattle onto this island at some stage, guys. You'll hear more about that a bit later. And I reckon Jardines Fence was around here, and they think it might have been to fence the cattle off. Not sure how many cattle they brought on the island back in the, we're talking the late 1800s, early 1900s, I think. But Roz's mum seems to think there was a fish trap maybe around this area also. They used to trap fish at high and low tide. So Dogaman, Jardines Fence, this area was called. No remnants of the fence anymore that we can see. As I said, we're talking a long time ago. It's probably all rusted away by now. The bugs just got Ross. And we'll go down soon, and where those water tanks are is where the old village used to be, where Roz's mum was born and bred down there. Mt Ernest up there, 300 and something metres, I forget the exact height. Mt Ernest being the English name for the island. And you can actually walk up there. I'd hate to think where the tracks would be now. She'd be overgrown, it'd be hard going. But in the old days, they used to go up onto the top of the mountains. Heading south now, and we'll go down past the helicopter, and we'll go down to where the old village is. And that's where Roz's grandmum's buried, guys, and we'll show you Roz's grandmum's grave. Masalgi Mary Mills, and Mills being the family name, Roz's mum's family name. And when we get to the main cemetery down the southwestern corner, you'll see that a lot of the cemeteries all got mills on there. Roz was just saying that each member of the family had their own little part of the island, obviously the main village, but everyone had their own little part of the island, and they were responsible to keep it all maintained. And there used to be copra plantation here in the old days. Roz used to do copra, which is, and they used to have coconut plantations. Not as many coconut trees anymore, but there used to be thousands of coconut trees on this island.
What is this here?
Roz has got a photo at home of her dad dancing under one of these coconut trees in his traditional island get-up. There she is, little Robinson R44, guys, that we flew over in. Bungee helicopters. You come up the Punsan Bay, you've got to do a flight in one of those. No doors. That's a real helicopter experience there, let me tell you. Just amazing. Different perspective, eh, when you can feel the wind and the noise outside. Okay, let's go down and have a look at the village. Looks like a freshwater creek. Roz's mum did a map with a freshwater creek, and it looks like this could be it here. We just found the remnants of the village, and I think we can see Roz's grandmum's grave up in there, guys. I don't know when that fresh water tank got put there. We'll find the concrete slabs, Roz. There's one over there. Okay, here's two of the concrete slabs. This one here we believe was the school. There was a little school for the kids. Still there with some corrugated iron and whatever, and there's the other slab over there. That was a little store for the community. Wowee. And I'm standing on what would have been the school now. Oh wow. See if we can find some pictures and put them up, guys, so you can see. This here probably doesn't look like much to anyone now, but if we can find some photos of this in its heyday when Roz's mum went to school on this concrete slab when she was a little girl. She's 86 now. Have a look at that. A school, and there's their view. That's the view they had from school. Fantastic. Young island kids being educated all the way back then. Roz's mum went on to be a nurse's assistant on Thursday Island, and you know, that's all because they had education on remote little places like this. I've seen photos with hundreds of coconut trees around the village. There's not many left now. Cyclones have obviously cleaned a few of them up. Let's go over and see if we can find Roz's grandmum, eh? That's the remnants, guys. Bloody corrugated iron, An old pot there, look, an old saucepan, kitchen sink. This was obviously someone's house here. Oh. Right, that wasn't Roz's grandmum's grave, it was someone else, guys. Well, Roz's grandmum's in behind this almond tree here. What we thought was Roz's grandmum's grave is out there, Songy Mills. He's a relative of Roz's mum. They're about the same age, maybe a cousin. Still bits of iron and that all the way over here. So the village was a pretty big village. And there's a grave over here now, and we think this is Roz's mum, grandmum now. It's hard to find, it's just a bit overgrown, and it would be good to get a slasher in here and clear it all out. Anyway, let's get over. I think we're on the money now. I think this is it. Roz's mum said her mum was buried near a big almond tree, and that could be the tree she's talking about. Tell you, the weather's not looking good. I hope we get off the... Well, I hope we don't get off the island. Be alright getting stranded here, wouldn't it? So here it is. As it starts to sprinkle, this is what we came for, guys. This is Roz's grandmum here. It's Masalgi with an M, not an N. It's actually Masalgi Mary Mills. She died when she was 39 years old, right at the end of World War II. And there's stories here Roz's mum was telling us where they hid for a couple of years in some mangrove somewhere on the other side of the island because they were frightened that the Japanese were going to land on the island and kill them all. So they actually hid out during the war for a good part of it. Another great story is Masalgi's, one of her sisters, the Americans were here for a little while, and she snuck up to see the American soldiers, and one of the generals, they think it was a general, he was smoking a corn cob pipe, gave her a packet of lollies, and they think it was General MacArthur. It's just one of the many stories that came out here, but the American soldiers were on here. Roz's mum remembers being a young child, seeing American and Japanese fighter planes having dogfights above this island. Remember seeing the planes with a big red circle on them, Japanese bombers and Zeros, flying over to bomb Horn Island, which was bombed during the war. But where Roz's grandmum is buried is right at the back door of where Roz's mum's house used to be. This was their house here, right near a big almond tree. And Masalgi's buried here. And she's only 39 years old when she passed away. And but here it is. We're going to come back and we're going to bring the family back next year or the year after, and we're going to do some work here. We'll probably come armed with whippersnippers, and we're going to clean this right up. It needs to be done. Show our respects. Let's say, can you imagine, this was the whole village. The village was 100 metres back there, the school and all that. So Roz's mum would have left the hut here and walked to school, probably down on the beach, and walked to school along the beach. And in the afternoon they used to fish. Roz's great-grandfather had a pearl lugging industry, James Mills, and the men used to go out on the pearl luggers and that during the day, and the women used to keep the village clean. They used to fish all the time. They lived off rice and flour that they bring in on the ships, and then they just lived off fish a lot of the time. And as I said, at one stage they had cattle on the island. Just incredible, but just overgrown now, I mean, it's been uninhabited since the 70s, so that's what you get. But I think Roz's cousin Andrew Naghir came yesterday to pay his respects, and there's a few flowers and that on the grave, which is great to see. So some of Roz's aunties, one of Roz's aunties married a Japanese man, Tommy Naghir, and he was a Japanese pearl diver. They had a big pearling industry back then, and you see a lot of Thursday Island Cemetery, a lot of Japanese people buried in there. After the war they came down as pearl divers, and some of Roz's cousins are half Torres Strait Islanders and half Japanese, the Naghir family. Drew's one of the ones who came over yesterday. and he works for a helicopter mob here on Horn Island. Anyway, looks like this weather might be passing over, thank goodness. We don't want to be flying home in this. But anyway, we might spend a little bit more time here, and then we'll go down to the main cemetery, because Roz's great-grandfather, James Mills, who she's got his t-shirt on today, and a lot of her other ancestors are buried down at the main cemetery on the southwestern part of the island. Let's go down and have a look, eh? Roz just said, see Aka. Aka, aka, is Torres Strait Islander for grandmum. And up there, Roz, up there, is grandfather. And Frank Mills, Masalgi's husband, is buried on Thursday Island. What's the reason behind that, Roz? Do you know? Or?
Well, that's where he was when he passed away. Then they moved it to the island.
Yeah, okay. Masalgi's husband, Frank Mills, who they think was named after Frank Jardine, is buried on Thursday Island. But anyway, we're going to go down. Show us your t-shirt there. There's James Mills, Roz's great-grandfather, Samoan man. He's the one who came over, and he was adopted by some English family and gave him the name Mills, and from Samoa, and he was educated in England. He came here and he started a pearl lugging business on Naghir Island, and all the descendants now, if you could see how big the family is now, Rozz, it's a massive family. The Mills and the Savage family. Lots of great-grandkids. He'd be proud, eh? Yeah, it's dying off now. This one's going alright, but eh, that's the one your mum talks about, I think, the big almond tree. Look at it. It's a beauty.
I don't know whether she planted that one or this one here.
Your mum did? Yeah, look at that. Geez, wouldn't it be good if we could bring your mum back here for a final look? Roz just said, see Aka. Aka, aka, is Torres Strait Islander for grandmum. And up there, Roz, up there, is grandfather. And Frank Mills, Masalgi's husband, is buried on Thursday Island. What's the reason behind that, Roz? Do you know? Or?
Well, that's where he was when he passed away. Then they moved it to the island.
Yeah, okay. Masalgi's husband, Frank Mills, who they think was named after Frank Jardine, is buried on Thursday Island. But anyway, we're going to go down. Show us your t-shirt there. There's James Mills, Roz's great-grandfather, Samoan man. He's the one who came over, and he was adopted by some English family and gave him the name Mills, and from Samoa, and he was educated in England. He came here and he started a pearl lugging business on Naghir Island, and all the descendants now, if you could see how big the family is now, Rozz, it's a massive family. The Mills and the Savage family. Lots of great-grandkids. He'd be proud, eh? Yeah, it's dying off now. This one's going alright, but eh, that's the one your mum talks about, I think, the big almond tree. Look at it. It's a beauty.
I don't know whether she planted that one or this one here.
Your mum did? Yeah, look at that. Geez, wouldn't it be good if we could bring your mum back here for a final look? So as I said, we're going to come back either next year or the year after. We're going to camp here. The wheels are in motion to get a boat to get us over here with all our camping gear. And I reckon somewhere around here, down the southern part of where the old village was, you can see here, not far off the beach, I reckon we could set a nice campsite up around here. But down near the cemetery on the southwestern corner is a beautiful beach down there, and I reckon there'd be a good camping spot down there. So the guy Rod, who owns Punsan Bay's got a barge, and it's big enough to get probably 6 to 8 people over with all the camping gear, and he reckons he might be able to launch us off Punsan Bay and punch out here on a good day and land us on Naghir. So how good would that be? Anyway, getting down to the southwestern corner now. This is where we landed last time, on this beautiful little white beach. It's a pretty big island, eh? Like, take a few hours to walk around it, especially when you're rock hopping. Anyway, let's get down and have a look at this cemetery, eh? Look at that. Geez, I wish the weather was a bit better. But anyway, we can't help that. Look at that weather. We gotta fly home in this shit. Have a look at that. you're going to be a bloody hairy ride getting home. This keeps up. Hey, we just come across this. An old shelter that someone in the family's tried to build. And it's obviously been destroyed by cyclones and bad weather and that, but wouldn't it be great if there was camping shelter and concrete slabs and a freshwater tank, all that over here for the family to come and, you know, base themselves for a week and do some maintenance on the cemeteries and all that type of stuff. Pity there can't be some sort of government grant to build some sort of structure for the family so that they can come over and maintain this island rather than seeing the cemeteries just get, you know, the way they are. It's quite sad. Old rake there, look, an old stove, so they had, I don't know, they had power here at some stage. Big stone coffee mugs, knives and forks. So they used to, you know, wasn't a bad shelter. It's just a pity it's gone to rack and ruin now. Old cast iron pot, hole digger, all the corrugated iron obviously just been blown away in a storm, and that's the way it is. Oh dear. But that's what they need, eh? Something like this, like a couple of structures where you can bring your camping gear over, camp for a week, do some work on the island. Everyone would look after it. Anyway, what a view, bud, eh? Look at that. Hopefully that weather will blow over and we can get home in some good weather, because we're going to be going over the tip of Australia, guys, and we'll show you that from the air. One of Roz's aunties, guys, Mary Teresa Mills. Died at 67 years old in 2007, so they brought her back to the island to be buried. That was obviously one of her wishes, to be buried on her traditional ground. Well, here's another shelter that didn't stand the test of time. As I said, these aren't the original, from the original village, guys. Someone's come over from the family, and, you know, they brought a cement mixer over, water tank there, pots and pans. And, you know, people have attempted more of those beautiful big brew mugs there. Look at them. People have attempted to, you know, put structures up, but I don't know. Need to get some professionals in, put proper slabs down and cyclone rated shelters and stuff like that. Obviously, just wasn't up to the weather up here. It's pretty extreme, as you can see. Roz's mum drew on the map. She said there was a couple of freshwater creeks, and I reckon this is probably the other one that she was referring to. She got a good memory. They had their fresh water. They had a well over near the village there. I didn't see it this time, but there's actually a freshwater well. But this would have been the other, yeah, there it is there, some water in there. That's the other creek Roz's mum was referring to. Look at this, plastic washed up, not much you can do about that. Yeah, this is it, Roz. This is the second freshwater creek. All overgrown. But there is water down in there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right, so we're down towards the southwestern part of the island now. There's those two big islands off the north of Naghir. I'll tell you the names of them later, guys. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Mt Ernest. And we'll cut across now to the main cemetery, which we can see over here. And this is where Roz's great-grandfather, James Mills, is buried. You probably see this from the air as we're flying in. Righto. So here's some of the traditional people. Sorogo.
Wagub Sorogo.
Were they related to James Mills, Roz, or they worked with him, or? Sorogo, it's not quite sure on the history of the Sorogos.
We'll get there.
Most of the mills are all related to to Rozs. Samaki. Mrs. A. Samaki. Look at that grave there. We don't even know who's in that one. Wow. It's his old grave site, this one. Look at it. It's quite sad. Born March 1904, died November 1904. They didn't have all the health and medical services back then, did they?
Oh, big up there.
Up there, James. It's Roz's great granddad, guys. James Mills, born in Samoa, died 1916 at 72 years old. He's the one who started the Mills family. Wow, what a big family it is now. If only you could see. Educated in England and came over and started a pearl lugging industry and was in the cattle industry with Frank Jardine, who the Jardine River was named after. Well, there's some history here, Roz. And there he is there again. James Mills on Roz's shirt. That's him. Wow. Excuse my shadow, everyone, but... Rosaline. Look at that.
Who I was named after.
That's Roz's name, guys. Rosaline. That's who Rozz was named after. Wow. Rosaline Garnier. Rozz has got French heritage too from her dad's side, the Savage family. They got French connections way back when the French come to the Torres Strait. And that's who Rozz was named after, Rosaline Garnier. Wow.
This is Mum's brother who died.
This is your mum's brother who died early?
Yeah, in Bowen, see?
Benny Mills, yeah. In a fishing boat tragedy, Rozz.
I think from appendicitis.
And that's your cousin Benny Mills, named after him, eh? Yeah.
Another cousin.
Age 4 years. Oh dear. Actually, the gravesite's in a bit better condition than last time we were here. Roz's cousins have come over and they've managed to clear it a bit, which is good to see. It was quite overgrown last time we were here, but you know, nothing to be good to bring a lawnmower over and, you know, mow a nice big circle around here. Anyway, we'll turn the camera off and we'll pay our respects. Oh no, back out on the beach. We'll go and have a look at the south end. Oh, you can see the coral reef out there. Oh, wind's off tap. I was saying to Rozz, I said maybe we should, when we get over camp, and set the camp up on the southwestern side of the island, but Rozz said her mum always said it's too blowy down the southwestern side of the island. That's why the village was up towards the north more. So they obviously did their research before they made the village all those many years ago. But the wind comes down off Mt Ernest there and just whistles across here. Massive wind gusts. You can see the coral reef just out there. Geez, I tell you what, if you brought a bloody bait caster with a surface lure on it, I reckon you'd clean up here. Flick out over into there. Have a look at it. You can actually see the reef over there. From the air, reef all on the western side here. Roz's mum, they said they just lived off the ocean when they were kids here. Never a shortage of fish. I reckon I'd still miss out. You know, my fishing skills. Look at that. Just come down onto the southern part of the island. The wind's dipped off a bit. Look at this beautiful little beach. Oh no, I spoke too soon on the wind. Ha, here she comes again. Yeah, not wrong. Anyway, we'll go up here a little bit more. that island. I don't know if you'll see it on film, guys, but over there is Moa Island, M-O-A. That's habited. There's a couple of settlements or villages on Moa Island, and behind that is a massive big island called Bardu, which has also got people living on there. Moa and Bardu. And there's actually, there must be a Telstra phone tower on Moa, and you can actually get Rozs Mum before and just ask a few questions, but you can actually get 2 bars of phone coverage on Naghir. It's pretty handy, Roz. Yeah. Roz had a few questions about some of the graves and that, so... Well, look at the whitecaps out there. Well, 20 minutes to go. It's time to get to the chopper. How was it? I got the response I was waiting for from Roz when I said that. Hear a plane fly over, probably Customs plane. Last time we were here, Customs made some inquiries at why there was a helicopter on Naghir Island, so Roz's cousins and that over on Horn and Thursday had to let Customs know that we were coming here today. The Customs boys don't miss much because the Torres Straits, they bring drugs down from the old PNG Gold, cannabis, they bring it down from Papua New Guinea through the islands. Customs are right onto it, eh? Any suspicious behaviour on the remote islands here. Anyway, 20 minutes. We'll have a quick chat with Steve when we get there, just a couple of minutes, and then we'll head back and we're going to go over show you the tip of Queensland, guys. The northernmost point of the best country in the world, you'll see. So it's an amazing flight. Looks like a big crocodile from the air, the tip of Australia when you see it. Hopefully it'll come up on video. 2 hours not long enough, eh, Roz? Geez, I wish we had more time, but we'll be back camping on this island, and we're going to do some more exploring. I want to get up that northern end and get across to the eastern side if I can. Wind's picking up. We'll pick it up again at the chopper, right? Beauty. Well, we're going to take in the last little bit of the island. Wow, it's sad leaving. 2 hours is too short, but look at that. The weather's cleared, thank goodness. Blue sky down to the south. So we should have an okay flight home now. I was a bit worried there before. We're going to take that in, guys. The last 10 minutes down to the chopper, walking along this beautiful little deserted island in the middle of the Torres Strait, a third of the way between the tip of Australia and Papua New Guinea. What a magnificent place, Roz, eh? Be pretty proud your family comes from here.
Well, guys, 2 hours was nowhere near long enough for the island, but hey, what a fantastic experience, and thanks again to Steve, our chopper pilot. He had a fantastic time. It was the first time for him too, but hey, just something Roz wanted me to mention, guys, is if you want to visit Naghir Island, it's kosher that, like a lot of indigenous places, that you've got to get permission off a traditional owner to go on the island, and it's probably even more kosher that if you did want to go to Naghir Island for some reason, that you go with one of the family members to go over to the island. So it's not just an island that you can rock up on and have a look around. You've got to get permission to go there from someone in the Mills family, and they are up there in the Torres Strait Islands, and as I said, the All for Adventure boys did. They actually got permission off Mario Sabatino to go on the island in Series 7 of All for Adventure, and we saw Mario's mum buried on the island there. So anyway, final look at Naghir Island, Roz. Geez, it was special, wasn't it? It really was. It was won't be the last time we go back there. We want to go back there, and we want to spend more time next time. We'll see how we go. That's the second time we've been back in a chopper, but we just can't spend the time we want. And there's just so much history over there and so many things we want to do. We want to get over and maybe clean a bit of the island up and clean the graves up. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed a look at this special little place that means a lot to Roz.